and we're really looking forward to our 3 fantastic speakers. The first of whom is Mark Parello.
Hello.
Mark, I want to start from sort of the beginning. You're a dad of 2.
Yeah.
Your wife is Italian, but you're half Italian. So
Half Italian, half Chinese.
And you've got 2 children.
Who are very confused. Yeah. As a result.
Well, they don't look confused when I see them, but and you're local to the Didsbury.
Yeah.
So I wanted to really start your backstory, if you like. What do you do in the daytime? What's your day job?
So a day job is I'm the managing director of a financial advisory business.
And is that in town or
in town? Yeah, we're based in King Street, called Raymond James King Street, but we're just in the process of rebranding.
Now, so that's a boring bit. Before you did that, though, you were, that's your business, but you were employed, weren't you, in a company? What sort of got you to change and take a big jump, if you like?
So I've tried loads of different things in my past. I've always wanted to have my own business. And I've been in the financial services industry now for just over 20 years. And I'd always been looking for a way out of the industry because I thought this industry doesn't agree with my core values. So I've had a property finance business, bought some properties, I sold telephone lines door to door, I set up a social media website. But a mate of mine just said to me, Mike, you've been in this industry for so long now, and you're pretty good at it, why don't you just create your own business? So what I started thinking about is what I would want a business to do within our industry.
Yeah.
So
it's not the best industry, if I may say so.
No, it's got an ethics crisis, and actually therein lies the opportunity. So if you think about the financial services industry, most people think that it is opaque, complex, high charging. Most people don't know what they're being charged, and a lot of times people are just being sold a product with no plan to back it up. So I asked myself the question, how can we solve that? So everything we do now challenges that status quo, and we think differently. And the way that we challenge the status quo is that we provide a better service, better results, for less cost. Sounds really simple, but how did I get there? So once I realised that it was the right industry for me, I just needed to create the right environment. So the prior 15 years or whatever it had been was right industry, wrong environment. But actually it's the right industry, and now I'm creating the environment. So it's the first time in my life my head and heart have been completely aligned. And you probably expect me to say this, but I genuinely believe that it's a brilliant industry to be in because we are positively changing people's lives.
Interesting. So you're very clear about who you are, where you want to be, if you like.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I mean, does that come from growing up or other influences?
So, in terms of what I want to do, I want to have the biggest impact that I possibly can with the skill set that I've got. So that means continually improving.
Yourself or your business?
It sort of goes hand in hand. So I have to improve myself first to improve the business, and also improve the guys that work with us as well. So Aidan's, come on, if you want to ask him whether or not I'm telling the truth or not, you can do that.
Not yet.
But yeah, so because I had a pretty tough start, and I believe everyone has the potential to genuinely make a massive impact, I thought, why don't I try and do that?
Okay. Can we start? What was that tough start, if I may ask?
Yeah, so parents split when I was sort of 13, 14, something like that. Not too unusual, but when my dad left and my mum fell off the rails, I then was taking time off school to look after my mum, then social services got involved, and then I was taken into care. I don't want this to sound like a sob story, because actually I look at everything that's happened in my life as a blessing, because it's got me to where I am now.
Yeah. Mark, don't worry, we've heard worse.
Okay.
Honestly, I think you'll agree with you. We've had some really emotional times in this room from other speakers, so we're with you in the emotion, if you're happy to share it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So you were then taken into social services. That must have been quite a shock.
Well, I didn't really understand. I would have been 15, 16, I guess. So I went to a normal sort of comprehensive state school, and they had a sort of home that was attached to the school that was filled with sort of army and RAF kids. And effectively it was the school that took me in. So it saved me. While it was unusual, it absolutely saved me. Yeah.
And then were you reunited with your mum?
Yeah.
Because I met your mum, and I know she was on the way sadly. So in that time, and that was a tough start, what sort of thing did you learn? Because it's obviously had quite an impactful...
It did. I remember my first day in the home, and I was sat in what we called the common room, and there was this lad that sort of came into the common room, and he was one of the lads, you know. And the first thing that he said to me was, "We don't want your sort in here, Parello. Why don't you F off?" So I thought, okay, this is a great welcome. But I thought to myself, I need to make this guy my friend. You know, it's my first day in here, and so I thought, what do we have in common? And I hadn't had a conversation for a long time before that, because I obviously was dealing with a lot of stuff at home, so I kept it all in, didn't really socialise. But the one thing that I did a lot was train. I lifted weights. That's how I got my, I suppose, my sanity.
Yeah.
And this lad also liked to train. So I remember seeing him walk into what we called the laundry rooms. It's where we used to chuck our laundry and do our ironing and stuff. And he went in there on his own, so I thought I'd follow him, because he's going to be on his own, he's not going to be showing off to his mates. And I thought, let's see if I can have a conversation. So I just asked him questions, and we were probably there for an hour, I'm guessing. But it's the first conversation, proper conversation that I'd had in years probably. So I left that common room, that laundry room, having made a new friend, but also having learned that I could have a conversation. And actually, it's sort of what I do now. I ask a lot of questions. It's made me massively interested in people. And because I didn't have any guidance growing up, my guidance came from the books that I was reading. So I've always read a lot. I still read a huge amount. And I tended to read about individuals who had an impact. So the first guy that I started reading about was Bruce Lee. Then it became Arnold Schwarzenegger when I started getting into my training. And then there were a couple of books later on that had a massive impact on my life. So this was later on after university. So I'm jumping around.
No, we're following.
The first one was a book called Carnegie. Some people have heard of Dale Carnegie. This is Andrew Carnegie.
Was he the father? I've heard of Dale Carnegie.
No, so Dale Carnegie, who was the How to Win Friends and Influence People author, he actually changed his surname to be associated with Andrew. So Andrew Carnegie...
Really? That's a bit creepy.
Yeah, probably, but it works. So Andrew Carnegie was born into poverty in Scotland. He then his family moved to the United States. I think his father worked in the steel industry and his mother was a seamstress. And Andrew Carnegie eventually founded what became the United States Steel Corporation. And the guy that wrote the book, called Peter Crass, he wrote the book, or started to write the book, to demonise Andrew Carnegie, because his great-great-great-grandfather, or whatever it was, had worked in one of Carnegie's steel mills, and he'd heard how Carnegie was suppressing the profits of those earning in the steel mills, and suppressing the earnings of those working in the steel mills to create those massive profits. So his great-great-grandfather was always poor, never had any money. So this Peter Crass set out to demonise Carnegie, but he then discovered there was a big split in his personality, and that while he was suppressing the wages of those in his steel mills and creating these massive profits, he was building free libraries across the north of England, across the United States. You've probably heard of Carnegie Hall, that's named after him. And he gave all of his fortune away. He was the wealthiest man in the world, and he gave it all away. That was the sort of foundation of the philanthropy in the US. Yeah. But on Carnegie's journey, he commissioned a guy called Napoleon Hill. So he didn't pay him a wage, but what Carnegie said was, I will open doors to titans of industry of our age, the Henry Fords, the Rockefellers, etc., Vanderbilts, and I want you to find out what makes these people who they are. So Napoleon Hill eventually, after years and years of research, wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. Now, the title makes it sound like it's just about money, but that's not the case. It's wealth until riches in terms of, yes, money, but health, wisdom, spirituality, emotion, and those two books changed my life from...
How old were you when you read them?
I was 21 or 22, and within, I don't know, maybe it was a bit later.
God,
so 23, 24.
And were you looking to read that? Most of us are reading there.
So how did I trip over? Well,
Hello magazine.
At the time, I was sleeping in a mate's spare bedroom, basically. sort of fallen on hard times, massively in debt. And this mate of mine had been in business, had made a ton of money and lost a ton of money. And he gave me the book Carnegie. But within 9 months of having finished Think and Grow Rich, I'd met the girl that's now my wife, moved back to Manchester, which is where I went to university, and I bought 3 properties within 9 months.
What, age 23?
24, yeah.
God, I need to read this book then.
But what it instilled was belief. Belief that, and how to use your brain better, how to ask yourself better questions.
Interesting, because I know that, when we sit and I'm hungover on a Saturday morning in martial arts, watching our children, your children, when we're waiting to get on, and listening to, quite interesting things that you're encouraging into them. Books like How to Be Effective, so on and so forth. And I just wondered whether that's part of your paying it forward, encouraging your children, even at their very young age, to be doing that, rather than trying to regard,
obviously I never had any of that,
yes.
And I spent the last 20 years developing me. I don't just do it for my kids, I do it for the guys at work and anyone else that I can offer advice to, who is open to it. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, my eldest son Thomas is 10 and he's already had 2 businesses at school, which is pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I mean, part of that is trying to be a better father, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And instilling in the stuff that you didn't have into all. And so, you said that you had other businesses before the maybe 24 age. I just wondered what you think about failure and how we can all learn about failure. And what it means to you. Do you see it as a bad thing?
No. So I've been involved in lots and lots of things that didn't work, that's for sure. But every single one of them I've taken something from, and it's actually increased the belief I had. So for example, I had this social media site. I can barely use a light switch. So for me to be able to create a social media site that worked and people could interact. And when I was doing that, this is maybe 10 years ago I was doing that, it was cash flow positive, but what I was able to do was the way I wanted to attract other people to the social media site was I wanted to get people who were well known to get on there and hopefully attract them. So I was able to contact and get in front of people who you just wouldn't have thought you'd been able to, I didn't think I would have been able to get in front of at the time, but they opened their doors to me, sat down with me and spoke to me.
Like who?
So one person that I'm thinking of is a guy called Stephen Burrows, who was the chairman of Coops over in the northwest.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And I was some kid who just set up a social media site and managed to get in front of him and get some advice from him and this sort of thing. So how that's helped me today is, and I spend pretty much all my time speaking with people who, the vast majority of them, pretty much all of them have been self-made, but most people would stop at, I've not got the time, but I'm super persistent, and it's taken me, there's one individual who I've just managed to get in front of, it's taken me 3 years just to get in front of him.
Oh my God,
but I know,
these all men?
No, so there's one woman who's had an amazing story. I remember, so she starts off in a call centre in the business that she's just recently sold. So she starts off in the call centre, works way up to the board level, bought the business, and then recently sold it. And as she was in the process of that, I didn't know that she was looking to sell the business. I just read about her in some local press and thought she sounds awesome. I'd really love to get to meet her and learn something from her. And when I eventually managed to get in front of her, I was sat in her boardroom and she came in and I said, Ivy, I've been really looking forward to meeting you. He said, I know, Mark, I've been trying for 2 years. So most people would probably stopped after 5 or 6 emails. I must have sent 50 emails to her, yes, or phone calls, or those sorts of things. But it's being politely persistent and knowing that you can help.
And do you think that's your mindset, or is it a bit of stalking as well?
Oh, it's probably a bit of both. No, I mean, I'm really, really interested in people, and everyone's got a story to tell. And what I've found is that people who have been in business have lived more than one life during their lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's why I read oodles of biographies. And I'm spending time with these incredibly busy people, which is a massive privilege actually. And they're telling me where they started from, how they've got to where they are. So that's a massive learning curve for me. And then they're telling me about where they want to get to. And once I know where they started from, what they're doing, and how they got there, and where they want to go, I know how I can help them.
Yeah. So I want to ask you 3 questions, and you can answer them in whatever order. One is who inspires you. 2 is we are a community network, so we're about connecting people in the community, trying to combat loneliness and isolation. And Brexit, which I'll come to, told us that we were a divided community because it's very reflective of that. And so we always ask our guests on this show, well, not a show actually, which is a meeting. One, what community means to you personally, and 2, if I gave you £1 million, what you would do with it for the community, not just in Didsbury. So 1, who inspires you, 2, community, 3, £1 million.
Wow, so many people inspire me. Pretty much everyone I meet inspires me in some way, shape, or form. I know that might sound like a pretty rubbish answer, but for example, sitting here, you having done this, that's massively inspirational.
Oh no, it's people turning up.
But no, I mean, it's something you've had to make an effort to do. You know, being a good mum or dad, that's inspiring, because it's not easy. The people that I'm meeting every day who have achieved incredible things. So, I've got clients who have rowed the Atlantic, done Ironman. There's one guy I met who is apparently one of only 3 people who's both climbed Everest and swum the Channel. These are amazing people. Who else? People that I've read about, Carnegie that I've mentioned. I love listening to people like Tony Robbins. It's just so many people. It'd be impossible for me to name just one.
But do you think that's because you're open to being inspired?
Yeah.
There are people who are inspiring, but there is being inspired by stories, ordinary people. This is about ordinary people who live down the road who are actually quite interesting and have got a backstory.
What does ordinary mean? I think all of us are extraordinary in our own way. Everyone's ordinary. Jeff Bezos, he's the son of, he's an imagist in the States. His father was a unicyclist who came into town one weekend and knocked up his mum, who was 17 years old at the time, and he's adopted. He's an ordinary guy. But all of us have the potential to be extraordinary. It's the choice, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So, what does community mean to you?
What does community mean to you?
You've got quite a wide business community. I just wondered what it meant locally.
So community, to me, if I think about community, it's a collection of individuals with a shared purpose who also share core values. So I suppose what I'm trying to create I think lots of businesses, for example, and I'm using business because we've just gone through an exercise of this at the back end of last year. Lots of businesses have a culture, but they just don't have it written down or defined. I think Didsbury, or we're going to move on to Brexit in a second, there is a culture, but unless you've written it down and what is the purpose, what is it we're trying to achieve, and what are our core values. So if I use our business for an example, our purpose is to enrich lives. It's that simple. The core values within that are customer obsession. So obviously we want to do as best we can just to improve clients' outcomes, being radically transparent, radically truthful. Second one is be pioneering. So we're always looking for new ways to improve what we're doing through technology, through improving ourselves. Thinking long term. I think too many people think short term, but the compound effect of long term thinking makes a massive difference. People underestimate hugely what they can achieve in 10 years, but overestimate massively what they can do in 1. So most people end up giving up. And then the last one is to create a positive community. So everyone within our business is reviewed on that basis, including myself. We reviewed ourselves on that basis. So I suppose, moving on to the whole Brexit thing.
Well, £1 million.
Oh, sorry, £1 million. Okay, so I think that one of the things that we could do better for young people, so I know at the moment we're trying to raise money for Youth Club, aren't we?
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, get youngsters coming into one place. But one of the things that I think we could do better, I think the education system in the UK is brilliant, but one thing that I think we could do better is to teach belief. I think a lot of people are told things are difficult, or you can't do that, social mobility is tough, all this sort of thing. And so people don't try.
But do you see yourself as somebody who has self-belief? Is that why you think that? I agree with you to a large extent.
I have no, so if I don't have any limits on my thinking at all. So I did for example, a triathlon in 2014. I couldn't swim at the beginning of 2014. And I decided to do a triathlon, so I had to teach myself to swim as an adult. I was the skinniest kid in school. I was picked on because looked different at the time, which wasn't great when you're growing up. Has advantages as you get older. But I went from the skinniest kid in school to the strongest kid in school, and that was through my own efforts. You read about people all the time who are achieving amazing things. Why can't any of us? Why can't all of us do that?
So, you wouldn't spend £1 million, or you would?
Oh, sorry, I would. So what I'm saying is, within that youth club, you could have just some sort of educational process to instill belief in individuals, whether that be getting people who are going to be far more qualified than me to talk about their successes.
So that leadership coaching, or
yeah, absolutely. I started from here, and this is what happened on my journey, and this is where I've got to inspire them, to teach them that there is a way that you can have a massive impact. Yes, it's going to be tough, but that's half the fun. I think that if you keep reminding a child that you can't do that because it's going to be difficult, or you need to be a certain way to achieve certain things, it's not true.
No. Interesting. So finally, we try not to speak about Brexit here, the B word we call it. But I just wondered if you had a view on Brexit, or what impact, where you think we're going to go.
No idea where we're going to go, but when looking at the vote itself, it's almost an impossible thing to vote for, because we know where we are right now, but we had no idea what Brexit's going to look like. We actually still don't know what Brexit's going to look like.
Oh.
If someone was to have 2 sheets of paper and say, this is where you are now, and this is what it would look like outside of Brexit, it's something you could vote on. So I think, first of all, we shouldn't have been asked to vote without any clarity. So it meant people just went with whatever they felt. So being completely open with you, this probably isn't going to make me very popular, but I'm a fiercely independent person, and I wanted to, I sort of voted in the way of independence. I voted to leave, because thinking about it economically, Europe it doesn't work, it's broken. There are only 3 countries, that are net contributors to Europe. There are countries within Europe so Germany are borrowing at negative interest rates, and Italy and Greece are borrowing at much higher interest rates to feed their economy. That's not fair. So that can't work. And as a result, Italy's, because I go to Italy a lot, I can talk about it, it's absolutely on its backside, and there's thousands of people that are out of work.
But there's no economic growth in Italy.
No, I mean, growth is slow.
All the banks have been nationalised. Sorry, we're getting into it.
Do you know, I'm not a political animal.
No. I'm interested in that view, and you'll be very open with it. So it's interesting to hear it. And so now, what do you think is going to happen?
I've no idea. No idea. Obviously, we're responsible for people's assets. Brexit, we were told pensions would be decimated once Brexit came along. However, if you were to vote Brexit, how the reverse has been true. The stock market, the UK stock market, has actually done fantastically well. Globally, I think Brexit is a non-event almost. I think lots of other countries are just laughing at the UK, thinking how poor are their politicians? How can they not get anything sorted? But what's going to happen? Absolutely no idea.
And finally, I wanted to ask you mentioned your wife.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage for you to juggle? Women are often asked, how do you juggle? I have lots of friends who are in the same position, they're never asked. When I give an interview, most of them never asked how to juggle having children. So I was just interested, how do you juggle having children, a business
and training and all the rest of it?
Yeah. And having time to read. You know, we have a book club where everyone moans about, because I make them all read big books, about having the time. I just wondered if you could share with us what you do, one for well-being and two, how you juggle family life and your business.
So when I get up really early anyway, I'm up at sort of 5:15. I'll be generally in the gym for 6:30. So between 5:15 and 6:30, I'm meditating. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you haven't used it, it's really cool. I'll listen to a podcast, maybe I'll do some reading then, might do some emails. So I'm in the gym, I do a power hour, I come back, have breakfast with my wife and boys, and then I'll head into town. So I'm normally in the office for 9:15, something like that. And while I'm on the tram, I will be listening to a podcast or reading.